This is GT racing right now.
He's got tracks and he's going in the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God!
Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, here we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
It's a new season once again. It's another case of 12 rounds. It's another case of top 8 results. It's another case of putting yourself to the highest possible level. It's another case of a wonderful season brought to you here with SimSpeed TV. This is the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. This is a McLaren MP430, and this is your iRacing Grand Prix Series here, brought to you with some amazing sim racing action on the horizon. My name is Jake Sperry, joined alongside by Sam Cooper-Bennett here for action around this wonderful 16-turn, 4.65 kilometer behemoth, which has been a testing paradise for a number of seasons at this point. Sam, this is a track which is about downforce and is all about the reckoning for tyres.
Yeah, this is a fantastic track to go to. I mean, this is the test bed for all Formula One racing. Obviously, they didn't go there this year in the real-life Formula One series, but has always traditionally been the best place to go and test your cars with all the downforce and all the things that they need to work out for the races in the future. And when they come here to race, it's all normal, almost normal setting, but it's still a fantastic place to go to regardless.
As we zoom on in, thanks to Google Earth, down at this wonderful track here, this brilliant Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. This here in Montemelo, Catalonia, Spain, is really a track which is all about proving what you have got. That long front stretch which tests the top end speed, that opening sector which really does test the high end speed, and then of course that very pernickety final sector which is all about the low end grip as well, and the mechanical grip that's available. That's where we find ourselves battling out here today. But let's talk qualifying for a moment. We've just ticked over into session right now. There are 21 drivers who will be looking to try and give themselves the biggest amount of points possible here today. And this is going to be the circuit that really does open up the season for them as they try and make things happen. Reigning champion Matteo Ugolotti is the one to keep an eye out on here today. Really, as we look at things, Sam, he absolutely looked boss mode last season as he romped away with 4 early wins in the first 6 races.
Yeah, and is looking to do that again here today here at Circuit de Catalunya. Been absolutely on it all season last season. Let's see if he can do the same thing here again today.
Well, he's also got to keep an eye out on the likes of Matt Wood and, of course, the number 2 of Bradley Philpott as well, who is new to the series this season, as we take a little look then at some of the drivers looking to put their first lap times in on the board. We've got our eyes focused on the driver who finished runner-up in the championship last season. All these seasons run on a 12-week cycle with 1 week's break in the middle. Matt Wood is there looking to try and make some progress forward. He does a bit of camera work in his spare time. He's very good with the click and the click, but he now looks to try and push forward here through this Repsol corner, turn number 4, this very tough corner, 140 k's back on the power as early as you possibly can through this section into turn 5. Now, this is an underrated corner, which is always going to catch you out if you push a little bit too far on the exit.
Yeah, as well as this corner as well, going into this sharp left-hander, then right-hander. You've got to be careful going up the hill, and then you've got to pick your marks going up through this right-hander, going down towards the hairpin. Now, it's very, you've got to pick your lines very carefully, especially going to this one. Got to brake as early as possible, but still try and make it around the corner as quickly as possible as well.
Yeah, that corner has been reprofiled in 2021, not here on the iRacing service though. Into the final section through the rack chicane here, this very tough challenge you want to take as little curb as possible here, Matt would decide. So he takes a much different line compared to a lot of others who would really attack over the curb. Jorge Martinez, the fastest on an 18.6, but that's suddenly beaten by Matt Wood, moving up to an 18.5, exactly a tenth of a second clear of his nearest competitor. He has every reason to be excited with that time at the moment. There is Tamas Shane at this stage, mocking a BMW Salva paint at this stage, going through the final couple of corners, looking to try and get a good time in on the board.
Yeah, very iconic paint there on Gene's car as he comes through the final corner, as he comes down to try and set a lap time for himself. See what he can get here as he goes to P7 with a 1:19.8.
Yeah, it's always going to be a tough lap, and of course they've got 8 minutes or 2 laps, whatever comes first, in terms of setting the lap times that they need. And of course there are going to be drivers up and down the order hoping that they can push on with the results. Nicola Le had a very, very good podium last season at Motegi at the opening couple rounds of the season, so let's see what Nicola can find, making a push over towards the line. It's a 19.5 only there, good enough for 7th position on the road. And what they also have to be careful about is pushing too hard on these laps. Klaus Siemert's looking to improve on the lap. 19.1, the best, finds 2/10, jumps up ahead of Dennis Branch, then 18.9.
Good time for him, but he gets displaced by Branch as well at the line as well. He goes up to 3rd place with a 1:18.567. So good response there by Branch.
Yeah, Renato Augusto as well, up into 5th position. Had no luck at all. On screen, though, reigning champion Matteo Ugolotti heading into the final sector. He's got the most points so far this week with 160-odd. He's also got the fastest lap of anybody in any session this week. He definitely looks like he is quick, and he wants to prove that he is the quickest when it comes to this race. Here we go through the final corner, trying to make this push to the line. This will be his first lap of 2 they'll be putting down. He already puts it up on pole position. It's a 1:18.235, and he's got another lap in the back pocket, and he might want to use it because it's the driver in the number 6 who might be a bit of a threat here today in qualifying, Diogo Oliveira.
Oliveira making his way through that right-hander down towards the hairpin now. Let's see what response he can come up with as he breaks slowly for this hairpin and makes his way up the hill to try and complete this lap and beat that number 1 of Matteo Ugolotti.
Exactly, so we'll see whether that time will just improve from Diogo Oliveira. He also has 1 more lap after this and enough time to set it on the board. He picked up a big win at Monza, did Diogo Oliveira. It is currently Ugolotti, Wood, Philpott, Branch and Martinez, the top 5. Pablo Frias in 6th position, but Oliveira can only manage a 19.2 on that opening lap. Couldn't combine all the pieces together there, but has another opportunity to put that down. John Pat Kelly goes 18th then with a 1:20.1, but he's still got Ray Griffioen, Kent Nielsen, and a driver who very subtly picked up great points in the championship, just came over the line to 14th place there, Cedric Beale.
Cedric Beale just coming across the line there, and we've got Ugolotti just coming down towards the line as well, as he's going to complete his 2nd lap now and improves even further now. What a time there by the 1.
1:18.055. That is a monstrous lap by the Italian Matteo Ugolotti. There is no way that you'll be seeing many finding a way to get around that, because that was simply put unstoppable in terms of time. If you look at qual laps, it's not the fastest he's managed. He's done a 17.9 in some other sessions, but 18 flat is definitely nothing to shake a stick at. Oliveira making his way then through the final couple of corners and hoping to get himself over the line. Does miss the apex slightly there through turn 13, and that leads him to the New Holland corner, the final corner out on track through turn 16, and charging up towards the start-finish line. DRS in full bore, but again, it's a 19 flat for Oliveira. It's only good enough to jump up then into the 11th position out there on track. Kleber Toffoli is going to try and find improvement. He does not improve on his lap time, but Cedric Beale moves up with a 19.1, 1 place ahead of Nicola Le, up to the 7th row of the grid. And finally, Ken Nielsen cannot improve on lap time either. That will bring qualifying then to a close, and this is how everyone is going to stack up then on the starting grid. It will be Matteo Ugolotti then who who dominates that time, 1:18.055. He's nearly 4/10 clear of Matt Wood in second position, and Bradley Philpott starting in third place. He has the blue flag racing car of Dennis Branch alongside in fourth, with Jorge Martinez and Pablo Frias fifth and sixth, making it an all-Iberian third row. Thomas Bartosic starts in seventh, with Reynaldo Augusto in eighth. Klaus Siemens and Nico Veiranen rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, and in P11 will be Diogo Oliveira, not the best time for himself. Starting on that sixth row, Samueli Vairainen starting in P12. Then you got Kent Nilsson in P13. 14th, Cedric Bill. Nicola Lay in P15. And Adam Webb, P16. P17 going to Ray Griffioen. Kleber Toffoli going in P18. 19th going to Tamas Sene. 20th going to Andreas Nilsson. And rounding out your field of 21 will be John Pat Kelly.
So 21 there. There is the TQ Engineering car at the back of the field then with a 1:20.022. And they have 2 minutes to grid up. Track conditions then up on screen for you. It's 23 degrees here. In sim time is just about 10 to 5 at this moment as they look to try and work out where they need to be. So it's going to be very close in sim time, actually 25 to 5. At this moment as we get ourselves all nicely situated. Not much wind to speak of. This is going to be a cold track. It's going to be a tough race. And you want to be very alert to the tyre choices that we'll be seeing here today. Don't expect much of the Yellow Walled medium compound tyres. Expect a gamble between one stop or two stop, soft or soft on the way through, mainly because that soft tyre is looking really, really punchy. There is no desire and no requirement to have a change of tyres, which is a different compound from your own. So we will see how this one plays into a factor. It is 44 laps worth of racing action that we have here today. The lights are on, the green flag drops, and the lights go out, and we are underway. Horrible start from Pablo Frias. They cross the beams already then as they go for the race lead. Matt Wood with a very aggressive start then will need to go around the outside. Philpott doesn't know which way to look as they go in towards turn number one, and it is going to be on the inside Matt Wood, but the long turn three is 180 degrees right, and on the outside Matt Wood tries to run that line. He's going to run out of grip. He's not going to find that chance to put himself into the race lead. Ugolotti still defends, and that was a crucial opening four corners for him.
Yeah, he tried so hard around that outside. And a big crash in the background, big crash.
Yeah, that's Bartosic, and he's run into, I believe it is, Reynaldo Augusto, the Brazilian, and more as Cedric Beal goes around at turn 5. He's collected someone else with him as well. I think that's Nicola Le, who's in the gravel too. So 2 more in trouble at turn 5. It all just combusted at turn 5. No surprising. Oliveira's gone straight on, I do believe. No, sorry, that's Samueli Veiranen who's gone straight on then at turn 7. And here comes Philpott down the inside. He gets it done on Matt Wood. He moves up into second position, all kicking off then lap 1.
Absolutely big wrecks on the first lap, but great move there by Philpott to move his way up to second place at the midpoint of the first lap. Let's see if he can hold on to it. Big gaggle of cars in a battle for second place. You've got Philpott, Branch, Wood, Philpott, Branch and Marquinez right there as well.
Absolutely, and keep an eye on Jorge Martinez. He is so good at saving tyres. That's why he gets himself in the race. There's trouble in the background. I think that was one of the Veiranen brothers then who was in a little bit of trouble and dropping way down. That is Samueli Veiranen struggling out of the final corner then, as I think he may have got himself a slowdown penalty going through, serving it all nicely, and they still fight in front of him. Bartosic, no surprises, has to come into the pits early as they fight in the mid-pack and back. Dennis Branch there in 4th position, having a really solid run of things then to open up, has gone nowhere off the start, has remained in that 4th place, but we should see those battles really start to hammer in. Andreas Nilsson is definitely one of them right now. Look at him try and get away through to Kleber Toffoli.
Yeah, and he's got a long line of cars right behind him. Oliveira, Siemens, Griffioen and a few others right there, and definitely trying to stay up there in P9, just hold on to that in last spot in the top 10, and yeah, definitely making a good go of it so far.
Absolutely, and it's that good go that's needed. A lot of drivers have gained. Talk about Adam Webb off the start of this race. He's gained 8 places on the opening lap, finds himself in 8th position in the Good Earth car trying to showcase exactly why he is one of those drivers you definitely need to keep an eye out on if you're racing in the mid-pack. He's trying to stay with Pablo Freitas and Nico Väyrynen. We go on to lap 3, which means one very important thing, the DRS is going to be in effect. Dennis Branch won't get it this time, the front stretch, and there's dramas in front. That's Cedric Beale spinning right in front of the leaders.
Yeah, big mistake there by Bill, and he's going to go back into pit road again. A horrid start to the race for the 5, and unfortunately it's going to end early for him.
Certainly will, and we'll just catch this then on the replay, as this is where you go on the power then through to the right, turn number 1. It's just a case of cold tyres coming out of the pits and not being alert enough there for Cedric Beale on the yellow walled mediums. So he finds himself in trouble. What that did do, though, was bunch up Matteo Ugolotti back to Bradley Philpott in second position. He subbed in for Jason Plato in the British Touring Car Championship at Brands Hatch last year, and definitely has that real-world experience in a lot of racing. He races for the Butler Powell Motorsports team, which is, of course, partly run by Rene Butler, who is someone who, if you have been in and around sim racing, is definitely one of the visionaries that you find out there. But Brad Philpott definitely wants to put the pressure down and wants to make sure that he can actually make a championship challenge this season.
Yeah, and he's making a good go of it. He's got away from Matt Wood and is really trying to reel in Ugolotti, but not too close this time around. Matt Wood, though, is really trying to fight off Dennis Branch, though, right behind him. Very much a battle there for third place.
Yeah, so third place, not over and done with by any stretch of the imagination. Matt Wood trying to build that gap. It's 0.4 of a second right now, but more can be done on the horizon. But everyone is trying to get themselves lined up and figuring out where do they go in terms of strategy. If you're looking for a two-stop strategy, you'll be seeing maybe lap 14 as the best place to start thinking about a pit stop, as we focus on Pablo Freitas there in the numbers, or in 7th position, I should say, in the number 19 car, repping a McLaren livery for this McLaren car, as he looks to try and get through Nico Väyrynen for 6th place, right up underneath. What's dirty air as he goes through turn 9, heading for Lekaitsa, turn 10. There is DRS here. He has to go the long way around trying to pick this up. Has he made Väyrynen outbrake himself, so he gets the inside at this very tough turn 11. He has to leave the gap, does Nico, and so around the outside, this is a wonderful move. Pablo Freitas sticking the nose there and making sure position very much gained.
Brilliant driving by Freitas, and he moves his way up to P7 now. Does have a bit of time to make up to Marquez, but definitely great driving there by the 19.
Look at Webb. He was struggling a little bit with one of those cones on the front wing, which can very easily get itself lodged. Got it off of the corner there at the final section, but ultimately he's now got his teammate Kent Nielsen behind, and Diogo Oliveira, who'll be desperately trying to find himself a way through the field as quickly as he can. But here comes the teammate change. Nielsen down the inside. Adam Webb knows he's slower, and that's opened the door here for Oliveira then to dive, but that is too deep from Adam Webb. He's gone far too deep there into turn 4 at Repsol and down towards Elf Corner at turn number 5. Can he keep the nose in here on the inside? He can, but you can see it's going to be Oliveira's only on the exit, but he'll still have to fight on the outside at 7. I think, yes, now I know, he still has to fight side by side, and finally it's done. Here comes Klaus Siemens.
Yeah, great move there by Oliveira. Here comes Siemens as well, like you said, just right behind him. And again, Webb just striking those cones, coming for that right-hander, and he's going to slow down right there.
Slow down and the cone for company, so he's able to keep that one slow, but he'll lose another place here with Adam Webb. That's Ray Griffey-Owen going through, and that's Kleber to Foley just behind 2. So it's definitely not paying out then to be in his position at the moment here, as we go on to lap 6 of 44 here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya at this moment. Kent Nielsen with a bumper run here on Nico Väyrynen as we focus on Adam Webb just in front. But here comes Kent Nielsen, DRS for both of them, so they're equal in this one. It's going to be all about draft on the brakes, and comfortably done. The door left very wide open there by Nico Väyrynen, who knows that this is a long race, not a short one.
Yeah, Nico Väyrynen in that pure white McLaren MP430 there. No sponsorships on the car, but a very good move there by Nielsen. Really moving his way up for the field now. Up to P7 now. Can try and chase down Pablo Freitas.
And as Nielsen makes a move, so does Nilsson, making that one done in the retro McLaren livery as he gets by Tamashane looking around the outside of Adam Webb, who is falling backwards at the moment to the outside of 7 at reverse. This is a tough corner to get it done. And there's contact on the exit there. Adam Webb has to step out of the throttle. He loses the place to Reynaldo Augusto. Adam Webb, with such a good start, is now dropping way down the order as here comes Nicola Le to the outside with DRS and picks that one up as well.
Good recovery from Le to come back from that spin and move themselves up another position there. But yeah, Adam Webb really struggling here in this early part of the race. Hopefully after the pit stops he can actually pick up his pace again and move his way forward once more.
Now, this was something very interesting on the front stretch by the race leader Matteo Ugolotti. He took a weave right, a weave left, a weave right, and then a weave left again. They're going down the front stretch. So I wonder maybe if he's thinking about potentially any hardware issues that he's having at the moment, as we do have our first taker into the pits. Adam Webb, no surprise, he's having no luck with those tyres.
No, as he's going to come in for some fresh boots, gets up on the jacks, and he's going to come back out straight onto medium tyres this time round. So interesting tyre choice there by Webb.
Yeah, he goes on to the medium because he's definitely got no life in the soft compound. So he'll move to the medium, try and go maybe 20, 30 laps or so, and then try and see if he can bring it home on a second set of soft compound tyre. It's very early, lap 7. Come down in to go for a soft compound tyre as we focus on Diogo Oliveira right now, all over Nico Väyrynen and thinking about a move, but he has to get out of the throttle coming out to turn number 9, which means that Leclerc is not the corner where he's going to find that move. And he's got to get that move done quickly, because the moment you find yourself in a trainer in a battle like this, you get yourself in what I like to call Schrodinger's overtake. You have to attack and defend at the same time. Klaus Siemens just behind is wide went Väyrynen.
Yeah, watch for Siemens. He's ready to pounce if anything goes wrong between Väyrynen and Oliveira. So Siemens looking very threatening there back in that number 17 as they come down to complete another lap.
Yeah, and another lap it is, onto the 8th revolution of this circuit. Not close enough this time to get the move done into turn number 1, but now they'll be starting to think about strategy and where they find themselves in this race. We've got one retirement from this race so far. That is Cedric Beal. Bartosic and Samuli Väyrynen are both 1 lap down at this moment in time, and they are trying to make sure that they are making a lot of progress forward in this battle. Siemens then falling a little bit off the back at this moment in time in comparison to what Oliveira is trying to do, as he is desperately trying to make move upon move up through this field to compensate for what was a poor qualifying performance.
Just a bit of an update on Bartosic. He has actually ended his day here today. He is the latest retirement in this race, as he has finally disconnected now.
Yep, so Thomas Bartosic out of the race then over the course of that last lap. We'll try and get an eye out and see exactly where that has happened for him on circuit. It is a shame. He did dive down into the pits then after just, I believe, finding the wall at turn 3, or maybe just pulling it off the road. So that's still going on as we focus on this driver there, Klaus Siemens, trying to stay in range in the battle 8th, 9th and 10th position at this moment in time. Virtual Racing School replay then up on your screen, hopefully, as we can get a look at Thomas Bartosic here on the medium compound tyres after a stop on the opening lap. And really, it was just a lonely race for him at that point, all on his own. Yeah,
and unfortunately, just having a very lonely time there as he comes up through the hill, not really having the best of times here. But back to Siemens, he's fallen off the back of these two in front of him. He lost a lot of time for the chicane on that last lap. The final chicane's on the lap, and hasn't really been able to gain it back since.
I mean, he only lost a 10th last lap to Diogo Oliveira. Väyrynen running a 21.3, which is very interesting just to keep in mind. The leaders, mind you, are running 21s, except for Ugolotti, who's running mid-120s at this stage. He's just a cut above at this moment in time. But really, these mid-pack scraps, they're all forming here, these trains, which are very common here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Ray Griffiowen's got one just behind as well, as he holds Toffoli, Andres Nielsen, Tamas Shane, and Reynaldo Augusto, and Nicola Le, all in line at the moment as they go through these sections. This is where strategy becomes key, because if you're in the middle of one of these trains, really, as we look at Oliveira on the front stretch again, you really have to start focusing on when's the right time to go and try and maybe push your stop forward by a lap and try and undercut the driver in front of you.
Yeah, and that's where that's where it all works out in the end in these kind of races. Strategy is key, and especially on a track like this where overtaking can be difficult in some places. So you might want to try and use the pit stop to just move your way forward as we go back to replay of the wreck that happened on lap 1 there, Jake.
Yeah, that looks like it was one of the good Earth cars that ran into troubles there, running down the inside of Cedric Beale. It may have actually been Adam Webb who tried to look down the inside there, so not really too ideal on the Virtual Racing School replay all the way back at the start. But again, it's Oliveira who's got a really solid attempt this time against Nico Verinen, but he needs an extra 100 meters or maybe the historic layout if he wants to go and try and make that move, because that was definitely not happening there. Still close though as well between Dennis Branch and Matt Wood for 3rd and 4th position. Matt Wood is just keeping that solid at a range of about 0.8 of a second over the course of the laps. It's now up to 0.9 then going through. Still though, DRS range for Branch, keeping him honest.
Absolutely, and Matt Wood still keeping Bradley Philpott in his eyesight as well down the straights as well. So only 2 seconds. Oh yeah.
Here comes Kent Nielsen down the inside, and he's got it done on Pablo Frias. So a comfortable move there, a DRS overtake. That puts Kent Nielsen up now a very, very strong 7 places in this race.
Brilliant race for Nielsen so far as we look at a replay right here of the pass happening right there, coming out of the final turn. Big run down towards turn 1, and this is where you can get the big DRS push, and that's exactly what Nielsen did. Got the big DRS run down towards turn 1 and made that pass just look that easy there, Jake.
Yeah, it's a very, very plain and simple move. It's the sort of move that you put on your toast, almost like butter. That's how simple of a move that is, and how much of a staple overtake you can find. There is the pack behind, looking to try and stay in range. Kleber Toffoli trying to stay with Ray Griffioen, and he's got Andreas Nilsson just behind who wants to get into the mix. And also you've got Nicola Lett harassing the back, right there in the back of the shot on Reynaldo Augusto. So these drivers all looking to try and figure out where they need to be. That's a mistake from Toffoli going there through turn 12 out there on track, and could have very easily have found a little bit of trouble. Here's the first taker though. It's Klaus Siemens diving in at the end of lap 11.
Yeah, and you can kind of tell that his tyres were starting to wear off by the fact that he was falling off the back of Oliveira, but here he comes in for his first stop of the day.
Tamashene will also follow down into the pits. This is what we expect from those who are thinking about that soft compound tyre, and as an option as Oliveira tries around the outside of turn 3. He's not going to find it that way as he goes through and looks to try and again deal with that battle to the inside. He goes at the Repsol corner and he's going to pick this one up, but look at how this is an attempt by Verinen to keep honest. He'll dive for the inside here at turn 5. Door has to be left open, but Oliveira loves that outside line. He can definitely put the power down on the exit earlier, and through the small kick left of 6 into berth at 7. It's Verinen who gets it all shades of wrong through the corner. He got himself all crossed up, and that's now Oliveira's comfortably in for the next position.
Yeah, as we look at the replay of that pass happening as it happened, actually, we're looking at Reynaldo Augusto or Toffoli, and a big incident there for Toffoli, as it all could have ended up a lot more worse than it actually did as they come out of turn 4. Leaders in the pits, I've been told.
Yeah, I tell you what, give credit there to Andreas Nilsson to hold on to that and still make the pass. But in comes Matteo Ugolotti then on lap 13, making that stop and deciding it's his turn to get back out and going again. It's another set of the soft compound tyres he has gone back out onto, so he'll be looking to try and get another solid stint out of it. And of course, this is the thing, lap 13 seems early in terms of the times. Bradley Philpott also comes out of the pits then after making his stop. You've also got Frias in the pits, Augusto in there, Nico Verinen, Nicola Lett and Kleber Toffoli in there. 13 laps seems like it's long, Sam, but you remember they don't actually refuel in this race, so the longer they go, the easier they are on the tyres. Klaus Siemens getting a jump on even Pablo Frias.
Yeah, great run for Siemens, but like you said, yeah, they don't refuel in these cars. They just have that quick tyre change. Only takes about 2 seconds in the box, and then they're back out again, so nothing to it really. Just in, tyres on, out again.
Yep, and it's as simple as that as they try and make that stop. Now, Reynaldo Augusto has been in the pits for an incredibly long time, and there's no front wing on it. So he's had a crash somewhere, which I think means retirement central. It's coming out of the kites at turn 10 towards 11. He's come together with Andreas Nielsen. I do believe it is. There has Reynaldo Augusto, who was a little bit slow, serving a slow-down penalty. And then you're going to watch this. This is going to be very awkward. They turn in towards turn 11 here through this left. And Nielsen effectively just barges for a space and bang, into the wall he goes.
Yeah, that looked like a scary one going through that section of the course as well. And Augusto going for a bit of a ride there. And unfortunately, that might be his day done.
Yeah, luck very much not on his side at this stage. Out of the pits comes Matt Wood and Dennis Branch, and Wood's managed to pull a little bit of a gap there to get it done, and it will be Branch ahead of Andreas Nielsen, who is yet to pit, but also in and out of the pits is Kent Nielsen now, who will be behind John Pat Kelly, but crucially should be ahead of Frias and Seamet. Seamet's going to give everything here, but Nielsen just ahead. Klaus Seamet with the big undercut that has worked for him in the opening stint. Oliveira, no man's land.
Yeah, and Marquez out in the lead now after staying out through the pit stop, so he's looking to gain a few spots as well in that number 4. Let's see if it works out for him once he brings it in.
I tell you what, if he wants to go for that one-stop strategy, he is one who will probably be able to do it. He won a race very similar to this in terms of this one last season at Silverstone by doing something very similar. And you can see he stays out again then on lap 14. So he's definitely looking at a one-stop strategy as an option here today to try and get himself into this race as high up in the places as he possibly can. So the focus at the moment will be on that, but the focus will also be on still a very, very aggressive mid-pack, and someone who's also gained from those stops is Tamas Shane. He's now behind Nico Veiranen.
Yeah, a very big gain there by Shane, and he's right behind Veiranen, keeping him really honest, coming down for the last part of the course right here through the chicane. So Shane definitely on the move at this point.
Fastest lap of the race, you can see top right of your screen. It is a 1:20.032 for Matteo Ugolotti, who has been unleashed on fresh tyres and will be wanting to make sure that it works out for him. Shane closing in towards turn number 1, but he doesn't have a good enough run to make that one a reality then as they go through. Andreas Nielsen then is going to have a new front wing on that car. That's why he's so slow in the stop, because that will cost him an extra 5 seconds in the pits, and that's why he comes out with John Pat Kelly, who, mind you, with that incident with Reynaldo Augusto, he's very, very lucky he's still actually out on the circuit, because he came right back across the racing line.
Yeah, and it was, I'll tell you, it must have been scary for John Pat Kelly, but he's still running and managed to get it in and out of pit road very quickly. As we're looking at Klaus Seimets there, he's probably one of the biggest winners out through the pit stops, moving his way up to P7 now, just ahead of Pablo Frias.
Yep, so P7 on the road. There is Frias behind in 8th position, who knows that he'll have the tyre advantage the longer that the stint goes on. So Siemens now will desperately be trying to stay within a range of Kent Nielsen here of 1 second, so he can neutralise that drag reduction system zone, which gives them a little bit less drag on the front stretch, gives them an extra few kph as they go on through. And Siemens now will be looking behind more than he will do in front, and that will be a little bit of a cause for concern for him in the mid part of this race.
Yeah, and Frias has been very punchy in this race so far as well, so definitely going to be looking in his rear view mirrors as he's they're closing in on Kent Nielsen as well, so that's another battle brewing there for that number 6 spot.
Well, Kent Nielsen was actually the quickest of the 3 that last time by 1:20.7 compared to a 20.9 from Siemens and a 21 flat from Pablo Frias. So that was the times, and they also have to work out what do they do about Diogo Oliveira behind, who is in 9th position. He wants to get through into this one, 1:20.7 his last time, and that's going to be worth keeping an eye out on the longer that this race goes on. Also, keep an eye on Marquez's times. He's done a 1:21.6 that last time by, which is about 1.2 seconds a lap slower than your race leader Matteo Ugolotti, or your net race leader, so to speak.
Yeah, it will be. It will take over the race lead. The gap is coming down between Ugolotti and Marquez very quickly. I mean, down to 8 seconds. Once Marquez brings it in, that's not going to be enough time to come out, obviously, in front of him. But the question is, where is that going to put him once he comes out of pit road again?
Well, the key is it's all about relative pace, because if he does pit, I'd say he very comfortably slots behind Dennis Branch into 5th place, because there's about a 14-second gap between Branch and Nielsen at this moment in time, as we focus right now on Bradley Philpott there in what is 3rd position at the moment, and his worries right now over these opening couple of laps on the 2nd set of tyres, because that was half a second he lost last lap by to Matt Wood, who's thinking about, well, I need to get my best title defence on. I took it as far as I could last season, just didn't have the strength of fields to go challenge at the final race. Now Matt Wood wants to get back onto a good start here in this 2021 Season 2, because last season, Sam, he didn't get off to a good start. That's what cost him the season.
Yeah, and he wants to get off onto a better start this time. Obviously, had a good start at the very start of this race. Obviously, lost that position to Philpott. He desperately wants to get that back this time round and start his season off in the best way possible.
Yeah, he's down 2 places at the moment on his grid right now, but he knows he's got a lot of time to try and pick that all back up and get through. 1:20 dead for Matteo Ugolotti, another fastest lap as he makes the timing sheets go purple again and again and again as he decides to really settle into his chase and his rhythm at the moment. The pace behind, though, you've got to keep an eye out on all those battles, because Tamas Shane has actually found a way through on Nico Veiranen over the course of this lap and did it into turn 10.
Yeah, and again, a very difficult place to overtake, but still managed to get it done. Dejane and now finds itself in the number 10 spot as here comes Veiranen again on the outside. He's going to make an audacious move on the outside through turn 2. Great move there by the 11 to move his way up. Here comes Shane again.
And I think he had to lift off of it. There may have been a bit of netcode contact through the corner for Nico Veiranen, and he really settled up and straightened up the car, trying to deal with that. It puts him in the thralls of Ray Griffioen. Watch this on the Virtual Racing School replay then, as it was a very, very tough battle. The move had already been done at turn 10, but when you've got this long front stretch and no DRS, Nico Veiranen, the Finnish driver, was desperately trying to put himself in the mix and attack. There was an early move over to the right-hand side there by Shane, and the move around the outside was brilliant. The only thing was he couldn't shut the door at turn 3.
Yeah, and turn 3 is an endless corner there, and if you get your run right, you can actually get it back again, as Veiranen having trouble there through turn 3, and that did fall him back into the path of Griffioen, but Griffioen just not getting quite as close as he wants to. He was right there for a second, but just fallen back ever so slightly this time around.
He has. Look at Bradley Philpott, though. The gap is 0.3 of a second, and he is so much underneath that Kosh from Matt Wood, who wants to show that he can definitely challenge here, and probably the strongest strength of field that they have at the moment here every single week. Wood wants to showcase exactly why he is a very, very strong and very capable driver in this series, because he knows that he was the only driver who could get close to Matteo Ugolotti last season. He doesn't want anyone else in the mix making life a little bit more difficult. He wants to get through on Bradley Philpott, but now he has to think about this properly and really concoct a really good chess-style move, which will take maybe a couple of laps to implement and execute. And oh no, that's Shane.
Oh. Yeah, Shane's had a big off there, and to the right-hander going up towards the hairpin. Let's take another look on the VRS replay.
So he's going to go through turn 4 here. He's all on his own up at the front, and I wonder if he's just outbroken himself. He absolutely has. He gets in the gravel, gets in the grass, and well, at that point, you're a passenger, because there's no way you're going to stop that.
Yeah, and that's a loss of the front wing there, as he's going to have to take that back into pit road and get that fixed. I'm pretty sure that might be race over, as he's still trying to make it back to pit road right now. He didn't actually tow.
No, he didn't tow, so he's able to continue going. John Pat Kelly will definitely want to get by. Again, Matt Wood close, but no cigar just yet here. Lap 20 of 44. Jorge Martinez still leading this one, but that gap down to 2.7 seconds. He's got to be thinking about that pit stop soon, because he's 20 laps in on that set of tyres, and Ugolotti's just going to gobble him up in a moment.
Yeah, and he will come back out in P5, but that gap is actually coming down to Nilsson as well, between Martinez and Nilsson, so he's got that to think about. He doesn't want to leave it out too long before he makes that pit stop and costs himself another position here.
Exactly, it's a long pit lane here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, so he's got that in the back of the mind as well. There you can see Matteo Ugolotti, who has got the gap down to 1.8 seconds. He's actually halved the gap here over this race, even a bit more because it's down to 1.3. That is 2 seconds. Marquez is running 1:22.5. So that was a second and a half slower than his fastest lap. His tyres have hit the proverbial cliff in a strength of field, which is, mind you here, Sam, 3,994.
Yeah, very high strength of field here as Ugolotti now can see Marquez in his sights now as we're looking at Pablo Fries right behind Siemens. And this battle's been going on for quite a while now, Jake. These two have just been completely inseparable since the pit stop.
Here comes the move then. He'll have to go to the outside to make this happen with Pablo Fries. Siemens has been holding off, but he can't no more. Move done. Put now Pablo Fries back up then into 7th position for the moment. It's on for the race lead. Ugolotti all over the back then of Jorge Marquez, who's going to have to let him have it on the inside here. There's nothing you can do with those sorts of tyres. Marquez it cannot just get there at all. Ugolotti so much deeper on the brakes, and I think that's the calling card there for Jorge Marquez. He's got to commit to a one-stop strategy now. He's got to put it in now or next lap, and I'd probably say now over next lap because of the way that the tyres work.
Yeah, and when you're on tyres like that and someone tries to overtake you on fresher tyres, it's just pretty much, you can't fight it, as Marquez does bring it to pit road for that one pit stop now. Let's see where he puts him back out on track.
Well, that's the question. In also will come Samuli Väyrynen, who is lap traffic in this race at the moment. Marquez through the pits. Through will go Philpott then and Matt Wood, who are still in their scrap for 2nd and 3rd position. You can see Philpott half thinking about a defence there in the Butler Power Motorsports car there through turn number 1, but no real worries at all. Out and away will come Marquez. Here comes Kent Nielsen now down the front stretch, the Canadian here, and it's not going to be close enough, I don't think, for Kent Nielsen. Marquez comfortably ahead then with that, so he's managed it just about enough. But now he's got fresh tyres, and this is where the one-stop comes into play, because you can attack on that set.
Yeah, we are coming up to halfway as well now, so we can pretty much make it from here on those tyres, but it's going to be a question of everybody else. When will they make their second pit stop? Obviously, Ugolotti will have to make another pit stop here as well, with Marquez in mind, especially with the fact that he doesn't need to pit again.
Exactly, that's the key though. So that would put Marquez at this moment in time 2nd on the road, with everyone else except him due one more stop between now and the end of this race. And that one should be coming along maybe lap 26, lap 28 might be a time where we see a lot of drivers thinking about when they need to put themselves into the pits. On board with Kleber Toffoli here, the Brazilian driver, who is looking to attack Nico Väyrynen for the 11th place.
Yeah, and gives them a big chase there coming up the hill down towards the hairpin. Not quite close enough to make a move just yet, but definitely closing in on that number 11. Really looking punchy at this point in the race now for that 11th spot.
Yes, but you need another 1/10 of a second if you're Kleber Toffoli to pick up that spot, to gain that place, and everyone's searching for positions. Now Diogo Oliveira here has got a really good run. Klaus Siemens has got absolutely nothing just in front of this battle that we're seeing right now. Oliveira side by side will go to the outside and will have it done before they reach the braking zone and the apex of the corner, and he moves up then into 8th place, struggles a little bit through turn 2 to get it slowed down, but he's got just enough. Klaus Siemens, of course, has the oldest tyres of anyone in that battle, and I think he's thinking about a pit stop pretty soon, mark my words.
Yeah, Väyrynen has just moved up ahead of Griffioen as well, moving up to P10 now, so Väyrynen has now moved ahead after being under pressure from Toffoli.
Well, Ray Griffioen was there at 3:23 on the straight, and Griffioen had nothing. Väyrynen was up at 3:42 there, chasing down behind, trying to get that one done. Look how close it is, mind you, for 3rd position at this moment. Matt Wood is all over the back of Bradley Philpott, and he needs just a good run out of the final corner to give him that chance. And here it is, hard to the right-hand side again, trying to make it as tough as possible here as Bradley Philpott. Wood's got his choice now, has to go to the outside, tries to squeeze on the outside line, and it was tyre to tyre as they went through. That was a 2020 spec tyre. They would have been in complete disarray, but Matt Wood, knowing the width of his car, gets it up into what is net 2nd, but effectively 3rd place right now.
Great move there by Matt Wood, moving his way up to 2nd place, but Philpott isn't done here. He's still staying to the back of Wood as they come out of turn 4 down towards turn 5, and Philpott's still right there battling to try and get that 2nd place back.
Well, he's got to stay in range. That's the key. If he can keep himself within a margin, he can go out there, he can be aggressive, and he can work out exactly what he needs in these next stages of this battle. This is a key one in terms of the championship. Philpott getting a little bit over the radio as well with the DRS, and he's very late on the brakes. In fact, he's too deep there. Very nearly careened into the back of Matt Wood through that section of road, but now he's got to really just focus in and actually understand how to drive with the dirty air, which he hasn't done for a number of laps here in this race.
Yeah, and this is a new experience now for Philpott. Hasn't had to deal with this sort of thing for the whole race, and now is right there. Coming out of the final turn, though, he's going to be within DRS range. Probably not going to be close enough to make a mount an attack on Wood, but definitely has that extra speed coming down towards turn 1.
He does. 3:25 for Matt Wood. It's up at 3:39 for Bradley Philpott, but he's just not close enough to make that attempt and that overtake. So he's going to have to be very patient in terms of how he does it. Oliveira's got a really good run here. We see it on screen right now. Pablo Frias, he's not going to deviate at all from the racing line. There is Oliveira down the inside, a whole car length ahead. If he wanted to, he could have moved across onto the racing line, but he takes that shallow line through turn 1, and he moves up another one. So Oliveira now up 4 places in this race. He now finds himself 7th.
It's almost like an alarm clock has gone off for Oliveira there as he's finally woken up and started to make his way forward, now up into P7. Great run now from Oliveira.
Yeah, his next idea will be Kent Nielsen. That's about 3 seconds down the road. There is your race leader, 12 seconds clear of anybody else. It is Matteo Ugolotti, who is absolutely flying forward right now on lap 25 here, now starting lap 26 of 44 in terms of this race. Ugolotti in complete control, and at this moment you'd have to say here, Sam, that the only person who can stop Matteo Ugolotti is Matteo Ugolotti himself.
Absolutely, and he's even managed to extend that gap ahead of Marquez to over 25 seconds, and that is key with that pit stop in mind. He might actually have that pit stop in hand over Marquez now. So yeah, again, Ugolotti, the only man who can stop him is himself.
I can tell you something really interesting right now. Matteo Ugolotti's last lap was a 1:20.374. Marquez, freshest tyres of anyone, 1:20.7. So even with a massive tyre differential, he's still not quicker than Matteo Ugolotti. That's just how good he is running at the moment in this race. The gaps have really opened up in this field, and drivers are starting to think about when they come down in and make that second stop. Nicola Lehe, you got on screen, being harassed there by one Mr. Andreas Nielsen here with the number 21 on his vehicle, which means he's got the lowest I rating of anyone in this field, which means, of course, Sam, he has the most to gain.
Absolutely, and he has gained a lot. He's up into P14 now, and really putting the pressure on Nicola Lehe right now, and they're coming down through turn 5. Down towards that fast left-right section right now as, Nielsen really making his way up for the field now, but they're getting away slightly, going up through the hill, up to this right-hander now.
Yep, turn 9, and that is a really committal corner you go through. You need to rely on the fact that you've got downforce there to take that with any semblance of speed through that section of track. But Andreas Nielsen just quietly working here, trying to get into position to make something happen then in this race. Into the pits then comes Pablo Frias then to make his second stop early, and surprisingly early at that. Lap 27, he'll have to do 17 laps on his final stint of tyres.
Yeah, so making his way into pit road very early compared to the rest of the field. I just want to touch on Matt Wood, though. He's managed to gain a whole second over Bradley Philpott now, and is right on the back of a back marker here. Wonder if that back marker is going to help or hinder him, and he just moves out of the way, lets second and third right on by.
Hinder, half a second gone, being stuck behind Tamas Ene on the medium compound tyre. So that's going to be really, really not ideal then for Matt Wood, who was trying to break away, very much broke the DRS zone almost on that last lap through, and now he's got to do it all over again on more worn tyres. So he's got to think about that in the not too distant future as he continues on this race. Still has that one more stop to keep in the back of the mind. Keep an eye on Griffione as well, by the way, because he is still there with Nico Veyron and trying to get through and trying to gain that place. And they have a bit of company in the former Kleber Toffoli, who's just been sitting pretty and waiting and smiling and hoping that at some point over these next 16 laps that will be coming through, that he might have a chance to make a move.
Yeah, as these three have been together for a while now. Vernon is there in P10, and these two behind him, desperate to, well, Griffey Owen wants that 10th place back, but Toffoli, like you said, ready to pounce if anything goes wrong between those two in front of him.
Yeah, Ray Griffey Owen is someone who definitely wants through. In behind, though, that, I believe, is Nicola Le taking the pit stop then from Club Diach. Diach standing for Deutschland, for Austria, and then for the Czech Republic, as well as Bradley Philpott there in third position, still trying to keep honest Matt Wood, and he is doing so. And this is going to be crucial for that final stop, because this is a blinking game. Whoever blinks first gets track position. Ugolotti staying out then, going on to a 29th lap of this race then as he goes through. But Wood and Philpott, I think Philpott needs that stop more than Matt Wood does.
Yeah, definitely going to be looking for the undercut at this point of the race now. He's not exactly close enough to try and mount an attack right now, so that undercut will be something that he'll be banking on once this pit stop comes around, which shouldn't be too far away now.
Dennis Branch then pits in the Blue Flag Racing Car from 4th position. Klaus Siemens struggling. Veyranen has suddenly gone on to the offense here, because remember, Siemens is really struggling. He's biting the bullet now on this second stop for pitting early, and he is really holding the train up. Surely Siemens now has to dive right coming out of the rack chicane into the pits, because he is under so much pressure. He does dive into the pits. That brings Toffoli in, because he knows that the two in front have been held up, and here comes Griffey Owen's chance then to pick up the move. DRS wide open, but how trimmed out is Nico Veyranen here, because he's not gaining on this straight. He'll look for the inside at the latest available moment and just about gets it done. Still leaves the door open through turn 2, but no dice. It is a move just done by Ray Griffey Owen.
Yeah, fantastic move by Griffey Owen, moving his way up to P8 now. We've got a problem for Siemens in pit road.
Siemens in the pits then, goes for a huge spin, and we catch it then, hopefully on the on the virtual racing school replay here, trying to get this one done. And he just tries to put the power down as he exits pit lane. The rear tyres, second phase of acceleration, and it can happen to anyone. This is why this is an A-class license.
Yeah, and more problems there for Siemens, obviously losing all that pace before the pit stop and then making that mistake coming out of his box. It's just going from bad to worse there for the 17 now.
Ugolotti in and out then of the pits, and that will also be followed through by Wood and Philpott as Martinez inherits second position now in this race. Philpott really losing out then on the stop. Kent Nielsen decides to dive down in, so Dennis Branch will be back there in 5th position for the time being. In comes Griffey Owen, in comes Nico Veyranen as well. Andres Nilsson then deciding to stay out then, which will allow Oliveira the chance to gain up forward as he's made his second stop of the race, and he is actually looking pretty close then to the likes of Kent Nielsen, so he's definitely not safe.
Absolutely not, as Griffey Owen and Nilsson make it into pit road. Here comes Nielsen coming out now just ahead of Oliveira, and Oliveira trying to make those positions back up again after the pit stops. That's a bit of a lock up there going through the left and right hander.
I'll tell you who's profiteered right now. It's Kleber Toffoli. He's jumped both Griffey Owen and Veyranen.
Yeah, great move there by Toffoli. Now moved up to another position, and yeah, great run there by Toffoli. You saw he was pounded, like ready, right behind these guys and got the undercut absolutely spot on through the pit stop. So definitely a big gain there by Toffoli.
What's interesting is you can see a yellow M there with Pablo Frias out there on track. He's in 9th position right now, but on the yellow walled medium, did he pitch so early that he wasn't confident enough to drive home on a set of soft compound tyres? Well, he's on the same yellow walled mediums as Adam Webb is, so he will make it home on that set of yellow walled mediums, but he's definitely not gaining on Oliveira or Nielsen, or of course now Andres Nilsson, who decides to dive down into the pits, probably the last taker of them all.
Adam Webb, remember, he pit on lap 7 of this race, and he's still going on that very same set of tyres. So moving his way forward ever so slowly, but doesn't have the pace of the soft tyre runners out there on track.
No, he certainly doesn't. His last lap was a 1:22.9 on board, so he's struggling. Philpott, though, isn't giving up here against Matt Wood. He is trying to claw that gap back down to 1 second, and it is now just under. You can see the DRS flap goes open. That is a huge moment there for Bradley Philpott, who now needs to go on the aggressive mode here to get by Matt Wood into third place. And, of course, they're chasing Marquez down 10 seconds and hope that the tyres fall off a cliff like they did at the start of the stint or at the end of the last stint, sorry, I should say, for Jorge Marquez.
Yeah, and these guys have been battling all race long, and hopefully...
We've just had a look at fastest lap here, Sam. It's a 19-1 by Matteo Ugolotti.
Yeah, I just noticed that on the screen there. 19-1. That is almost a full second compared to his last fastest lap. He's absolutely flying out there as he's now 2 seconds ahead of Marquez.
That's a qualifying lap from Matteo Ugolotti. That's almost unfair levels of how quick. Here comes Diogo Oliveira then. He's half a second back then on this front stretch. He gets within DRS. He now looks to try and close it up. Third of a second, defended by Kent Nielsen. And he has it all scouted and covered as he goes into turn one. Not this time by here, Diogo, but maybe next time is his chance. Yeah,
as Diogo Oliveira has been battling through the field all race long, finding himself up in that P7 slot. Is like I said, the alarm clock went off and he finally woke up, but Nielsen gonna have to look in his rearview mirrors as Oliveira is still looking to gain another one.
I've just caught an eye on Tamas Shane. He's spun right in front of second and third, and in fact he's actually tangled with the leader. Going into the corner, he is tangled with the race leader Matteo Ugolotti, and it is Shane who has gone the wrong side of turn 10.
Yeah, as we go back to we look at Shane now, coming down towards the hairpin, and you see it right there, turns in right where the leader is, and gets spun around and has contact with the leader. Let's see if that contact with Ugolotti now will affect Ugolotti in the long run now.
Well, he has a damaged front wing, does Matteo Ugolotti. So now he is trying to get this one home. And the question will be for him, how much damage is on the front for Matteo Ugolotti? And is it enough that it brings Jorge Marquez back in? He took 0.4 of a second that last lap, did Marquez, and that included the contact that was there. So suddenly, Ugolotti here, which was no fault of his own, mind you, how can he respond to the damage he's got on his car?
Yeah, and he gives it a bit of a wiggle there just to check out the strength of that front wing and see if it's still able to work. And he seems to be circulating the track fine, but there is Marquez in the background just stalking him right now, noticing that Ugolotti is wounded right now.
He is wounded, but is that gap coming down? The answer is no. It's extending. It's 2.4 seconds, so it's 0.3 swing the other way. The key is, how much is it to Matt Wood is the next question. The answer at the moment is just 0.1 of a second. 20 flat from Ugolotti looks good. 20.5 from Jorge Marquez, and this should be a 19-something from Matt Wood coming to the line. It's a 20 flat as well, so it looks like it's not done too much. Remember, he was running 19.1s. I think it's just equalised the playing field, but not tipped the scale the other way.
Yeah, it's more or less equalised the playing field right now as Ugolotti making his way through that extra long turn 4. And Marquez not really closing the gap, but this battle between Wood and Philpott still going on as we're looking at Nielsen still battling with
Here it comes.
Oliveira.
Ran the outside's the attempt, but he backs off of it early there. Does Oliveira knew he was beaten on that attempt, but he's got another chance later on, and he was really trying to open up that turn 15 to give himself the best chance through New Holland to attack, and it just didn't work out for him at that moment in time. So he's still got time on the horizon, but he's just got to be patient in terms of picking up those positions late on here in this race.
And that's the key thing about these cars. You've got to be patient when you're trying to make a move on the car in front of you. Obviously, you have that factor with the dirty air and the DRS and everything else. Patience is key when you're trying to get around the driver in front of you.
Yeah, that patience very much is the king as we continue to focus on that battle then for 6th and 7th position at the moment on the road, as it is going to be Oliveira just looking once more at Kent Nielsen, maybe take a couple laps, cool the tyres off, cool the engine off, go out there for another big attempt at making that move and gaining that place. I'm sure that will be in the back of the mind as these drivers pretty much fall themselves into position and try and work out how do they get through. Fastest driver over the course of that last lap was in 4th position. It was Bradley Philpott, who was ever so marginally quicker than one Mr. Matt Wood in front. And he so wants to get through, but he's just run wide, actually, at turn number 5 there, which opens it back up again for Matt Wood and gives him emphasis to go out there and attack.
Yeah, Philpott is trying so hard to try and get to the back of them as we're looking at Nico Verinen as he's in a battle with Griffey Owen again, looking around the outside through turn 1 as Griffey Owen able to hold him off ever so slightly.
Well, he's done enough for this lap, and that will be all he's focusing on, counting down laps. They are inside the final 10 laps then of this race is behind. That's Nicola Le, who has got Andreas Nielsen just in front. That battle going on for 12th and 13th position. 3 retirements in this race. Cedric Beal, Thomas Bartosic, and Reynaldo Augusto on the wrong side of this one at the moment. But Le hoping that a top 12 will be a good way to start the season off.
Absolutely, and it would be. I mean, it's 12 rounds, but it's a long season regardless. And Nilsson, don't count him out, though. He's been very, very strong, though, and he's been very difficult to pass as well.
He's also got the freshest tyres of anybody in the field right now, barring Adam Webb, of course, who went on a different 2-stop strategy. So there's always an option here to try and push forward. Oliveira now cannot close in. I wonder if he's used up the tyre life trying to make those moves on Kent Nielsen. Of course, when you are in the dirty air, you get more of a scrubbing effect as well, which definitely does hurt. Take 2 then for Nico Veyrinen. He's very quick in a straight line. He'll definitely close this one down late, but he's out of straight again as he looks to try and get this one all nicely wrapped up. But once more, it's a case of can't get there. But now the focus is not on these battles. Watch Jorge Martinez now. That gap down to Matt Wood is 6 seconds.
Yeah, it's getting closer and closer, and as those tyres wear off for Martinez, Matt Wood and Bradley Philpott are going to get ever closer before this one is over. Question is, can they catch him before this is over, as we have 8 laps to go in this race?
Well, 8 laps, 6 seconds. It's going to take a Herculean task, but Matt Woods just put a 19.7 on the board, and that is only slower to one Mr. Matteo Galotti, who put a 19.5 down with the damage. So Matt Wood is trying everything to close that gap down. He has got blinkers forward on Martinez, who's still in those early 20s at this moment in time. So that's the focus as we look behind once more. Nielsen and Oliveira, but Oliveira again, I think, is just a little bit too far back. It will be defended, that racing line here by Kent Nielsen, but he'll move straight back across with that one change of direction and make sure he has no real qualms about what happens next to him.
Yeah, I think you're right about Oliveira. Might have burned off those tyres trying to get to the back of Nielsen, just not able to get the run he needs down the front stretch as Varinen and Griffey Owen going for it once again. As here comes Varinen down the inside, makes the move stick as Griffey Owen can't really get the nose underneath coming out of turn 2. Varinen now up to P10.
Good drive from Nico Veyrinen there. He gets the move done. He now finds himself back to where he started, 10th position on the grid. And that was really an overtake that he had the luxury of because he's running what I believe to be there is a low downforce setup, trying to sort things out. Matt Wood and Bradley Philpott, that gap is half a second right now. And still, it's a case of Bradley Philpott trying to close that in. He's at 3:38 on the straight, trying to make something happen, and he's just not got anything there. That gap remains at 5.5 seconds in front as they go through. As we look at Pablo Frias on those medium compound tyres, he's being caught right now by Kleber Toffoli.
Yeah, that gap really coming down between those two, and definitely working on the back of Frias's. Toffoli definitely got the faster tyre underneath him anyway, as he's got one driver in front of him, so he's got to negotiate his way around the lap traffic as well first. So definitely closing in very quickly on Frias.
Yep, so Pablo Frias is now in hold-on mode at this stage as once more Diego Oliveira can't get himself close enough to make an attack. Philpott looking really punchy, thinking about the inside there at turn 10. That door was just left the slightest creak open, and Matt Wood will be wise to not try and leave that open again. He's got to be so alert to Philpott, of course, has that touring car background, of course, stepping in for Jason Plato, which means, of course, if you have seen any racing like that, you take any opportunities you get in that sort of series.
Yeah, and if you don't go for a gap, you're not really a racer, as one famous race driver once said. As here comes Philpott, DRS open. Does he get the run? He's alongside. Big run by Philpott, and he's going to dive it down the inside. Wood's going to try and fight back on the curb as the side-by-side coming out of turn 2 into turn 3, but Philpott getting the job done halfway through the corner.
Let's go get them, says Bradley Philpott. He says, we want to work together. I want to work with you because my focus is not on fighting for third. It's getting second. And Jorge Martinez, whose tyres are doing 120.5s, and of course they would have lost time there going through. No chance of Oliveira making his move out on circuit, but Philpott is very much wanting to coordinate. It's the two Club UK and I drivers trying to chase down the hometown boy, the Iberian.
Yeah, Martinez losing time, hand over fist now. Those tyres starting to really wear off. Yeah, he's putting in fast lap times, but not as fast as the guys behind him, as they're still battling, coming up the hill now towards this last section of the course, as Matt Wood actually starting to tail off ever so slightly from the back of Philpott.
And that'll be a little bit of a cause for concern if Matt Wood's tyres aren't there and he's not available to go for it here. 20.4 from Jorge Martinez. He's doing really well at the moment over the course of this stint. Wood will cross the line with a 21 flat, but it's only a 20 flat for Bradley Philpott. He's got 5 laps to find what is, by my reckoning here, if maths is correct, about 5 seconds still. So it's not coming down nearly enough. He's hoping for a total collapse of the tyres for Jorge Martinez to pick this one off then towards the end of the race. And I think that this is the key. That spinner, that's Nicola Le who's gone around. Yeah,
Le having a bit of a spin there, as very unfortunate for Le, as he just lost it coming through the corner, and yeah, we'll go to the VRS replay.
I've just caught it myself going back, but watch this. Through turn 7, just gets the anti-cut curb. Car gets unsettled, and he tries to get going, and look at that. Into the wall, up and over, and somehow the car's fine.
Yeah, bit of front wing damage. Probably going to have some rear wing damage as well as he makes his way through the final part of the course, but it was that little sleeping policeman. Oh, there he is. But it was that little sleeping policeman that caught him out, and I said at the start of the broadcast, you have to choose your lines going through there. Lair just catching that yellow curb, and it was enough to spin him around.
It's not going to happen at this stage, I think, for Bradley Philpott. I think he knows it as he goes forward. There is Martinez just in front, Lair in the pits, but Martinez running 20.5s at the moment is doing enough to hold them off. Wood is thinking about these moves. He's not running quick enough right now. So now the focus here with 4 laps to go. It's not a case of can I? It's a case of will I get a podium here? Matt Wood would definitely want to try and make a way through here in this nearly 4,000 soft strength of field. But Bradley Philpott, it's very much trying to hold it back.
Yeah, definitely doing well to hold on, and did well to get around Matt Wood. Now Wood, it's a question to see does he have enough tyres saved there to make one final attack before this is over. They're coming to 3 laps to go. If he's got tyres left, he's got to use them pretty soon.
Absolutely, you've got to use the last of what's remaining here to go out there to attack, to be aggressive, to make this move. It's still on as well, 6th and 7th, Nielsen versus Oliveira, but still that is Nielsen's battle right now. Matt Wood, mistake coming off the exit. We just missed it on camera. He got himself all shades of wrong in the second phase of acceleration, trying to put it down. The back stepped out, and he just had to gather it up again, and that's cost him about 3/4 tenths.
As we look at the VRS replay, coming down to that hairpin there and just take too deep of a line, hit the accelerator a bit too early, just a little bit of a mistake there by Matt Wood, cost him some more time now. He's got to try and make that gap back up again, but it might be too little too late there for the number 3.
7/10 of a second to find, but it's going to be a tough battle that we will see for those 7/10, and I'm sure Bradley Philpott will be hoping that he's in an okay place to keep this one going. Still, Ken Nielsen, what a drive he's had from 13th on the grid up into 6th position. He has really profited in this one as John Pat Kelly and Adam Webb, freshest tyres of all Adam Webb, keep that in mind, wanting to make that position as well. So can Adam Webb move up into 14th place? He might have eyes on 13th as well with Klaus Siemens.
Yeah, and obviously we've seen the struggles with Siemens already in this race, and he's struggling to get to the end of this race. But Webb, Obviously, those medium tires not able to make it to the end, so he's had to switch over to the softs right on the back of Pat Kelly right now as they come through the final chicane down towards the final turn down towards turn 1. Does he have DRS? We'll find out if he can actually make the pass work.
Well, we'll see. He definitely does have DRS. He'll think about it now, going to the inside. That's the race leader behind them as well, mind you, so they don't want to tangle. Jean-Pat Kelly well out of the way, knows Adam Webb is quicker, gets the position done as Matt Wood now, what a run he's got. Philpott's having to defend this one here as they charge on this front stretch. Which way do you want to go, Matt? Inside, outside, shepherded to the outside, corralled there by Bradley Philpott through turn 1. No chance of the move, but they've got 2 laps to go here at Barcelona, and they know here, well, Matt Wood definitely knows he's only got 1 real opportunity left.
Yeah, and that's down the main straight. See if he can get another run like he did on this lap, but he's going to be very, very close, and he's got to pick his lines, pick his moments very, very carefully. But Philpott doing a fantastic job of defending there, going through the first few corners there.
Exactly. So Bradley Philpott's having a very good opening sector here, and I think Matt Wood's just forfeited his chance unless he gets a mother run over these last lap and a half that they've got going on. Matteo Ugolotti leading this race outright by 10.5 seconds over Jorge Martinez. What a decision it's been from him to go onto that one stop, and Wood runs slightly wide behind as they go through. The white flag lap will start then, the final lap then of this race. We've still got Nielsen versus Oliveira try and sort out. We still have Wood versus Philpott, but it's looking more and more like it's Philpott's race to lose here in terms of the fight for 3rd place. Also, you got Nico Verinen then on screen, fighting it out with Ray Griffioen then from Club Benelux, as he wants to try and get a top 10 to finish things off then in this opening race then of the evening. No chance is going to happen for Matt Wood right now in this opening round just yet, but he's still got that chance at turn 10 if he can get a good run here in this sector. He's there around half a second back. He's just got to focus here now if he wants to try and get through. Have a nice turn 4. He takes a nice amount of curb, a different contrasting line. It's a lot more punchy off the exit there from Bradley Philpott, who now moves through that left-hand hairpin of turn 5 at Elf, and now up the hill comes the charge. Is there going to be any looks at this stage? It's going to be a little bit of believing right now that's needed from Matt Wood. If he can get a good run through this right-hander, uses all of the road, takes a cone with him as well. But now it's all about these brakes. Can he get anywhere near? He thought long and hard about it, but now he needs that final sector to work. Meanwhile, through the final chicane, Matteo Ugolotti picks up where he left off last time out. Ugolotti starts the season, as he did last time, with a victory. It will be Martinez to 2nd, and it will be a drag race to the line for 3rd place, as it will be Philpott, who I think just has enough legs here. It's a short run to the start-finish line. He holds on for a podium.
Great race there between Philpott and Wood as Branch is going to cross the line for 5th place. A very lonely race there for Dennis Branch, but he won't complain too much about it as this battle between Oliveira and Nielsen has faded away. So Nielsen going to cross the line for a fantastic 6th place after starting from P13, Jake.
Yep, so that's a wonderful drive from Kent Nielsen, arguably driver of the day. Characteristics are looking really, really good. So now there is more on the horizon here. Kent Nielsen is very happy with his result, but Nico Verinen is not entirely safe. Just needs to make sure he doesn't spin it out of this corner. Now he is, as behind that as well, there is Andreas Nielsen coming to the end also. So good drive from Nico Verinen. Starts where he finishes, but that doesn't tell the tale of the tape, so to speak. We'll get official classified results then up on your screen here from the circuit to Barcelona, Catalunya. What a wonderful race that we have had, as we are all hashtag racing for John here today, of course. So with that being said, it took 59 minutes and 47 seconds, there or thereabouts, an entire hour to figure out how this one needed to be done. But it was Matteo Ugolotti who picked up the victory in the end. His margin of victory was 10.9 seconds over the one-stopping Jorge Martinez, with Bradley Philpott and Matt Wood having their scrap from start to finish. But it was Philpott who got one over on Matt Wood as they finished 3rd and 4th. Dennis Branch then comes home with 5th position, and Kent Nielsen in 6th place, with Diogo Oliveira in 7th, ahead of Pablo Frias, who had a very good race to open up his account. Yes, it's -2 positions for him, but 8th place, what more can you say? 9th overall would go to Kleber Toffoli, up 9 places in the race. He was the biggest mover and shaker in the field, as the top 10 was rounded out by Nico Väyrynen.
Yeah, and in P11 we have Ray Griffio, and a great race from him. Just missing out on the top 10. Andreas Nilsson coming up in P12. Klaus Seimet had a great start to the race, but really made a few mistakes there that cost him a chance at the top 10. Here comes him in P13. Adam Webb had problems at the start, had to change tyres early. He comes up in P14. 15th going to John Pat Kelly. 16th to Thomas Gene, had a few spins there and even got into it with the leader. Unfortunately, he gets 16th. Samuel Verinen gets P17. Nicola Ley had a spin near the end and gets P18. P19 to Ronaldo Augusto. P20 to Thomas Bartosic. And 21st, unfortunately, retiring early and ran out of field at 21 was Cedric Bill.
Those were the 21 that took themselves to the grid today in this opening round of the championship at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. But let's not forget, we got more action that'll be coming up here as we take a look. It says Australia. We're coming home, ladies and gentlemen. Phillip Island, round 2 of the championship. It will be 45 laps, and it's going to be a speed-style circuit. This is one of those tracks which really made it happen in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. The only place you can catch that is with us at SimSpeed TV, be it on YouTube or on Facebook Live as well. You can like, share, subscribe. You can do whatever it is that you need to do to make sure that you are joining us with the party here at SimSpeed TV. But of course, a massive thanks has to go to those who get it done for us, of course, to the Virtual Racing School who have been on us with the replays here today, and of course to the likes of Jay Kennedy on the cameras. From one Mr. Sam Cooper Bennett here alongside me today, my name's been Jake Sperry, and it is once more Matteo Ugolotti who finds himself at the top of the mountain after one race in this series. It's not all over and done with just yet, though. It's going to be a tall order to chase, because it seems like fine wine Matteo Ugolotti is at the moment. He keeps getting better with every race that comes along. We'll see you 1 week from now here with us at SimSpeed TV as we take the challenge over to Phillip Island.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's over the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my God! Oh! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?